Hi friends, welcome back to Farm Girl Diaries. We're in the garden today and we are planting out some plants. So I have a couple of thistles I have to dig out real quick, and then we are going to get to our plants. So it is March 27th, I think, and it is planting time. So this is when I always like to get my brassicas in the ground. It's a good year if I get them in the ground before April. If I wait until April, I feel like it's too late, and that might just be a me thing, but I don't know. It's how I do it. And I will say, I messed up this year, and I didn't plant my brassicas as early as I started, or as early as I needed to. For some reason, I forgot my plan. I forgot like what I know works for me, and I started my plants around Valentine's Day, which is just too late to start. So these are what my plants look like right now. They're small. They're not looking good. This is what they should look like. I had to buy these. So I, about 2 weeks ago, realized it was time for my plants to be up potted. And I realized that I didn't have enough time in order to up pot them. And then when you mess with a plant, it kind of shocks it. So knowing I was going to up pot it, I knew it was going to get shocked. Didn't want that. And then I had to start hardening. Well, it's not that I didn't want it. I had to start hardening my plants off to get them in the ground by the end of April. And so for me, it takes me about a week to a week and a half to harden off my plants, working a full-time job and not being home during the day to really help get my plants outside. So if you're not familiar, you need to harden your plants off. When you start them inside, you start them in perfect growing conditions. There's no wind, there's no rain, there's no temperature fluctuations, there's no sunlight, there's no sun rays. So you have to harden them off, which means you have to get them used to the outside conditions. So I had to put them outside. I put them out for an hour a day for a couple of days, and 2 hours a day for a couple of days, and then 3 hours a day. And you let them get used to the wind. You let them get used to the sun rays. If you would move them directly outside, if you would take them from inside and put them outside and call it a day, your plants would die. They would get something called, what is it called? Oh, I forget what it's called. I was just on the tip of my tongue and I forgot it now. But your plant will actually turn white. And it's called sun scald. That's what it's called, sun scald, or sun bleaching. And it's your plant got too much sun, it wasn't used to it, so it actually negatively affected the plant. So obviously you don't want that. And when they're not used to the winds, they can get a little laid over. They won't stand up. They don't have strong stems. So when you're inside, you do need to sometimes put a fan on your plants, and that'll help it move just a little bit, and that'll help build up a stronger stem. I'm doing that for the plants I have downstairs in my growing room now. But I didn't do that for these plants because, again, they're only 5 weeks old at this point, and they should be 8 to 10 weeks old. So I really, really dropped the ball on this one. And so what ended up happening is my broccoli plants are basically all done. I had to go buy new broccolis. I had great germination with my broccolis, and they were looking fantastic. Putting them outside did not do them anything good. And someone started eating them. I don't know if it was a cat that was eating them or what, but someone started eating the leaves. And then too, I think these plants are so ready to go in the ground. If you look at these, their leaves are starting to curl. Let me bring you closer and show you. Their leaves are starting to curl. This is not a happy thing. So I want to get these in the ground. And we're going to see what happens. So today, at least, I have my broccoli. I have 18 broccoli that I bought. And these are purple cauliflower. I think once I get them in the ground, I'm going to plant them pretty deep. But I think once I get them in the ground and feed them and kind of get some plastic on them, I think they'll be pretty okay. I think they'll come back. And then I have some cabbage that looks even worse. So this year, my brassicas look pretty bad. Now, if you were with me last year I really had an issue with slugs. Slugs ate all my brassicas last year. So this year, I put Sluggo down about almost a week ago. I spread a whole bunch of Sluggo. We are going to put these plants in the ground right now, and then I am going to feed them beer. So slugs like beer. So I'm going to get just some cans. I have old cat food cans, and I'm going to put beer in them, and I'm going to put them kind of around the perimeter of my garden. or around the perimeter of this area, in hopes that my slugs, if I still have any, go there and not, they don't eat my plants. That's the hope. So what I'm going to do with this area is I have these hoops on here. I am going to put plastic on here. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. But I'm going to put my broccoli and my cauliflower in the middle of this whole area. And the reason being because they get pretty tall. So I'm putting the broccoli and cauliflower in the middle, and then around the outside is where I'm going to put my cabbage and my kohlrabi. So I think it's going to be pretty neat as it grows. I'm excited for it. I hope my cauliflower grows. This is all purple cauliflower. So we'll see. So I pulled back all the straw when I put my beds to bed in the fall. I put a layer of cardboard and I put a nice thick layer of straw along with some fertilizer and some amendments. I pulled all that back. The cardboard is almost broken down. You see, there's just a couple of big pieces that they easily break up. So they'll continue to break down over the summer. But I just kind of pulled everything back so I can get to the surface of the ground. I have a bag of cow manure. I'm going to spread the cow manure in this area, rake it in, and then we're going to get to planting. So let's go get the cow manure, get it spread, and then we can get these plants in the ground. So I'm going to just lay them out for now. So I have this whole space that I'm going to use for my brassicas this year. And I made it smaller to give myself bigger paths. And if I need to, I can make it bigger. So I'm going to kind of lay at least the big stuff out first. Make sure I have enough room. And if I need to, I can make things bigger. And I think I'm actually going to just, right off the bat, let's just make it 3 broccolis, or 3 plants deep. So our weather forecast, I just ate a big dinner. And then I immediately rushed out here and I didn't think that through. So I'm kind of hurting a little bit. Don't eat a big dinner before you go do labor, manual labor. So what I'm doing, or what I was saying is not that. What I was saying was the weather forecast for the next couple of weeks looks great. In 2 days, it's supposed to be 85 degrees. That's going to be or 83 degrees. That's going to be wonderful. And it doesn't look like it's going to get cold at all for the next couple of weeks. At least the lowest is I think 55. Okay. So right off the bat, my broccolis are taking up the whole area that I had for the broccoli and for the cauliflower. So let's do some rearranging. See if I can do 4 broccolis. Well, 4 broccolis in one half, and then the other half can be the cauliflower. Oh, then I have 2 over there. I need a bigger garden. I really have 4 over here. I really wish I had a bigger garden, I'll be honest. But I think we can make it work. Okay. There's my broccoli. So let me get them in the ground. Oh my god, there's so many. Oh my god, there's so many broccolis. Okay. Let me get these in the ground, I think. And then I might move them around. But let's talk about cauliflower while I'm doing this. So I am growing this year purple cauliflower, and I think I have one yellow cauliflower that is still alive. Let's sit down and chit chat. Can you see me all the way over here? Just barely through the hoops. So I'm growing purple and yellow cauliflower. This is my second year growing. This is my hopefully second year successfully growing cauliflower. I used to grow the white cauliflower, and when I say I used to attempt to grow it, and I was not successful. I don't like using gloves. I feel like I'm not using my own hands. So I wasn't successful with white cauliflower because white cauliflower, you have to cover the heads of the cauliflower with the leaves of the cauliflower to do what's something called blanching. But then at the same time, you need to make sure that you leave enough air for like airflow. But if you leave too much airflow, then the cauliflower doesn't blanch, it turns yellow. And so I can't get that mixed down. Every time I try it, my cauliflower turns yellow and it bolts. That's the other thing, it bolts, which means it's not a tight headed cauliflower, it is a loose head. Okay, I think I like that, but I think I'm actually gonna do 4. I think I can go another up. So I'll do, I think that was the plan. I think I messed that up somehow. So I think I'll do 4 up. Or 4 broccoli across. So I didn't have any success. Oh, that's my hip. Holy. I didn't have any success growing the white cauliflower. But last year I grew purple and yellow for the first time. And I actually had success growing it. It didn't blanch. I didn't need to cover the heads with the leaves. So it grew much like broccoli. And it was super easy. So that's kind of what I'm doing now. I'm just growing the purple and the yellow. They taste the same. It does look a little weird. But it worked. So that's what we're doing this year. I am excited to get back in the ground and to start getting the garden back in. It has been a long, long, cold winter. Okay, 18 broccolis planted. I lasted, I think, for like 16 of them with my gloves on before I gave up. Now let's do our purple cauliflower. So I have a lot in here, but I don't actually need all of them. So I'm going to pick out the best ones. And those are the ones I'm going to plant. Okay, so let's talk about brassicas right now. So it's March 27th. And last night it got to 28 degrees outside. I did leave these plants outside all night. I would have brought them in if I had known it was going to get down to 28. The forecast wasn't even close to 32 degrees. So 28 was a fun surprise this morning when I woke up. But brassicas and the brassica family is all your lettuces, your kales, your broccoli, your cauliflowers, Brussels. They all can survive the cold. Even a frost, they can survive. When they're more established, they can survive an even kind of harder frost without getting too damaged. These guys, though, they didn't show any sign of having any issues. See, look, something is eating my plants. I don't know if it's my cat or what, but there's no leaf on that top one. So you probably could still plant this, and it probably would be fine, but I have more than I need, so we're not going to do that. And then the next thing I'm going to talk about is how my plants are leggy. Okay, so we have some nice roots on them. And this one's not great either. My leaves are broken. But this is a leggy plant. So here are my germination leaves, and here are the next true leaves. These have grown a lot in the past 2 weeks since I've moved them outside. I will say I didn't give them supplemental light, so when I bring things up from the basement, they're up. We don't go back and forth. So when I bring them up in the basement to start hardening them outside, so there's a couple of days they only get an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours of sunlight a day. That's all the light that my plants get. And so normally if they're bigger, it's not as bad. But the fact that they're already so small, they didn't like it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plant these deep. I'm going to plant whatever I plant up to the germination leaf. I'm going to plant pretty deep. And then it should be fine. It should be honestly fine. I typically have a little bit of legginess happen anyway. And so I typically have good success when I plant them deep. You can see this one I'm going to plant. But this guy is all kinds of really cute. So I think I'm actually going to go past his germination leaf. I'm going to plant him fully up till here. And I think he'll be just fine. I'm going to follow my same spacing that I did for the broccoli. I'm going to follow that with the cauliflower. And this guy has a nice set of roots on him. So I think he should be just fine. And we still have time. If these are too far gone and they don't do anything, I still have time to go buy new plants. But I hope I don't have to. I already had to buy my broccoli, and that was not in the forecast, especially when I had plants that did germinate. That's really disappointing. Hey, Soy. Hey, Sawyer. Hi, baby. Say hi. All of our plants in the ground. Our broccolis look really good. You can only see the green for my cauliflower. Some of them, most of them, look pretty bad. So we'll have to stay tuned to see how well they do. So we have 18 broccolis, and I don't know how many cabbages. 15 cabbages or so. 4, 8, 12, 13. I think 13. No. I missed numbers. 4, 8, 9, 10. 10 cauliflowers. So we'll see how many they do, or how well they do. I think I'm going to wait and do the cabbage and the cauliflower tomorrow. I'm off all day tomorrow. It's going to be a pretty nice day. I think it's going to be a little overcast tomorrow, but I think I'm going to wait and do this tomorrow. But I still ate a big dinner and I'm a little tired. I will say coming back from a long winter break and then getting right back into manual labor when I did nothing over winter, it's a little humbling. So I'm blaming my tiredness on the fact that I I had a big dinner. Not on the fact that I'm out of shape. And I'm also thinking to myself, Kaylin, you didn't do anything. You crawled around on the ground. But I raked back the straw. That's hard work. We might we might have some working out we need to do. Um, but while I'm planting stuff, I really like to talk about why I'm planting as many as I'm planting and how I use them throughout the year to give you some ideas in case you are thinking about putting in your own garden. I love to have inspiration from other people and to know what other people do with what they have. So for me, I plant no less than 18 broccoli a year. As a rule, broccoli is a crop that I don't have to buy from the store anymore. I grow it entirely myself. Now, last year was the exception because I had a big slug problem. They ate all my plants. Um, so last year, I had to buy my broccoli for me to eat over the winter. So what I do with my broccoli to last me a full year is I freeze it. I think I am almost positive I blanch it and freeze it. I need to go back and I have a video where I freeze broccoli. I have to go back and watch that to be sure, but I'm almost positive I blanch it first and then I freeze it. And then when I want to use it, I defrost it completely. I don't like to use it from frozen. I think you need to defrost it completely and then you can use it. And so I either roast it as a side, I turn it into broccoli cheese soup. I put it into casseroles. I love to make the chicken. It's, I think, a Pampered Chef chicken and broccoli ring. I think that's really good. I love to do that. So I think with frozen broccoli, I think it's obviously not as good as fresh broccoli, but I think it's a passable alternative. Now, in this day and age, I get the question from a lot of people, you can go to the grocery store in January and you can buy fresh broccoli. Why would you rather use frozen? And for me, it's a couple different reasons. Number one, I think I have a lot of exceptions in this video. As a general rule, I do not use any sort of chemicals in my garden. This garden does have a thistle problem, and last year I sprayed all the thistle. I'm thinking I'm going to do that again this year, but I will say, so far, knock on wood, I don't see as much thistle as I normally do. And when I say I had a thistle problem, I mean like thistle was choking out my plants. It really got to the point, I'm strongly against chemicals. It really got to the point where I didn't feel like I had a choice. I pulled the thistle, I dug the thistle out. But if you leave even just like a nub of thistle in the ground, it will regrow from that. So I really didn't think I had the choice. So I used chemicals, and I only used it on the thistle. Like I didn't do a wide spray. I just used it on the thistle. But I do think that I had success with that. Now I see a couple of thistles around the garden, but not as much as I did last year. So I'm thinking I'm going to do again this year, spray again this year, and try to eradicate this thistle completely. But with that said, I don't put any chemicals on my plants themselves or anything else in the ground. So with the exception of the thistle poison, there's nothing else on my plants. So I know that the vegetables I'm harvesting are clean. Again, now they have little asterisks there, but even from what you buy at the store, things are sprayed directly onto that. And so I don't have that. So as a whole, and as a general rule, typically my plants are completely organic, and there's nothing on them. So that's the first big thing is my plants, they're healthy for you. They're not covered in something that's going to hurt you. They're not covered in something that's going to make you sick. They have nothing on them. They're clean. My second thing is it saves money. So these broccolis, I typically, like I said, start from seed. Messed up this year. That kind of stuff happens. So the 6-packs were $3.49 for a 6-pack. So I bought 3 packs of them. Hold on, I only have 8. Hold on, how many did I buy? I don't know how to do math. 6? 12? Okay, I did. 3. I don't know how to do math. I bought 3 packs. So I think my broccoli then was about $11 for all my broccoli. So as long as all these grow, I'll have 18 big heads of broccoli, and then broccoli sends out a ton of shoots. And the shoots are some of my favorite things because it's just all these little bite-sized florets that it sends you for a long time. So 18 heads of broccoli will give me a lot of broccoli, and my goal this year is not only put some in the freezer, obviously put a lot in the freezer, but then eat some fresh. I'm not somebody who typically eats fresh from my garden So I'm excited to be able to eat, like to make myself start eating fresh. I don't need to have the reserves in my freezer that I typically do. I want to kind of balance that out a little bit this summer. Then another reason why I grow as much as I do is to save money. So I'd rather grow the broccoli now. Like I said, it costs me about, I figured I just said $11 for 18 heads. I can't buy 18 heads of broccoli in the store for $11. I think right now a solid head of broccoli is like $2.50 or something like that. So, and the amount of broccoli that I'm going to get from these plants, like again, I'm not just getting the main head, I'm getting all of these florets. I get so much broccoli out of this that my $11 initial payment is going to give me well more than what $11 would get me from the store. So I like doing this. It is more work. It brings me joy. This is my passion. So it's and for me, so this is my passion. So for me, the added benefit of it being organic, and then the added benefit of the cost savings, is just extra. I love to grow things. I think it's fun, but this is why I grow as many as I do. I want to be as kind of like self-sufficient as possible. I live in town. I'm not, I bought the broccoli, so clearly, like, I'm not going, the broccoli I started didn't do anything, right? It wasn't ready to go in the ground. So I'm not 100% self-sufficient, but any little step that I feel like you can take to make yourself more self-sufficient and less reliant on the grocery store, I feel like is a step in the right direction. So I like that. Now I started cauliflower, and I've never frozen cauliflower, so I don't honestly know how that would do. That might be something we look into if these cauliflowers grow, and if I get a lot of cauliflower, we might look into that. But what I'm going to do with this mainly is I love to roast cauliflower, roasted cauliflower. I make a sweet and spicy cauliflower, equal parts soy sauce, sriracha, maple syrup, and oil. Just a little bit of oil, but equal parts soy sauce, maple syrup, and sriracha. Roast it. So good. That's dynamite. I love to turn cauliflower into like General Tso's chicken and have like General Tso's chicken and rice. I did this year for the first time a cauliflower soup, a roasted cauliflower soup, which intrigued me for a while. I'm like, I don't know how that can be good, and that was good with some Parmesan cheese and some breadcrumbs on top. That was really good. So there's a lot of different ways that I like to eat my cauliflower. But what I found this year, which is kind of what the purpose of a lot of these cauliflower, why I did so many cauliflower heads, is last year I did a pickle. I did it at the end of the season. I think I did it like December actually. I did a pickle giardiniera mix, and it was carrots and cauliflower and kohlrabi, and it's one of my favorite things. I'm not a big sandwich person, but whenever I eat a sandwich, I'm now like in my brain trained myself, like I eat a sandwich, I have my pickled vegetables. The other day I made this Reuben casserole with some leftover corned beef and sauerkraut from St. Patty's Day. So I made this like pasta Reuben casserole, and it just gave me incredible heartburn, which I don't actually get. I actually thought I was dying. But all I wanted was these pickled vegetables, and I just sat there and crunched on my kohlrabi, and it honestly helped with the heartburn. Whatever was going on, the sensation of dying went away as I ate my kohlrabi. So I only did 1 jar of that because I bought the kohlrabi from the store. It was my carrots, but it was and it was my cauliflower. But I wanted to wait till I can grow everything this year, and then hopefully I get a good amount that I can can a whole bunch and put some back on my shelf. So that's what a lot of this cauliflower would hopefully go to like a pickled mix for my pickled vegetables, because I'm really, really enjoying that. So we also have a whole bunch of kohlrabi we're going to plant. I'm going to plant a whole bunch, and then we're going to plant our cabbages around the outside of this broccoli and the cauliflower. The kohlrabi is just to be pickled. However, I have a lot of plants, so if they would grow and I would have an abundance, they say you can also roast kohlrabi and it's really good. So I would want to experiment this summer with doing some different things with the kohlrabi, as well as doing a ferment. I know you can ferment kohlrabi, so I think that would be fun to do. And then the cabbage typically just goes to sauerkraut and pickled coleslaw. But then this year I also shredded some and froze some in the freezer for some what are they called, like salt tape now. You go to hibachi rice. So for like a I can't think of the word I'm trying to think. I keep wanting to say sauteed, and that's not it. But like for like a rice, like a rice and like a black spoon with like veggies and cabbage, shredded cabbage. So I froze some of that. I haven't used that yet. I actually lost that in the freezer. I wanted to use it the other week and I couldn't find it. So we have to find that. But we're gonna definitely try that before these cabbages come out of the ground. And if that froze well enough, I would, and I think it's going to, I would freeze some more like that and make a note of where I put them in the freezer so that I can have, what is the word? I want to say salted rice. That's not it. That's not it. Like a rice dish with chicken and veggies. What is the word? I don't know what the word is. Anywho, I hope you know what the word is. So it is actually getting pretty cold out here, so I'm happy that I am going to take a break, but I want to get my beer for these plants, put them around, and then I also am going to get plastic. I have a big roll of plastic that I'm going to put over these plants. The sun has gone in, so it's not going to really help them tonight, but my hope, and I'm going to water too. I'm going to get some water out here, but my hope is by putting this plastic on the plants in the morning when the sun starts coming up and it's still pretty cold. Again, it's about like, it's supposed to be mid 30s, late to low or mid 30s to low 40s overnight. That the plastic will help give them a little bit of a boost, because definitely the cauliflower needs a boost. So let's go get some water these plants. We'll take Sawyer in and we'll get the plastic and lay the plastic out and get the beer, and then we'll call that a night for tonight, because like I said, the sun's going down and it's getting a little cold a little fast. Now get away. I am going to fix this and cover this fully up. But what I wanted to show is what my idea is. So if I was going to leave these under plastic all day long, it would get to 80, 90, even 100 degrees. With the sun just beating on this plastic, it would get very hot in here. So I want to kind of have the best of both worlds. I want them to get the sun and the warmth, but these plants can't get too hot. That's why we plant them in March and April in the spring rather than in the summer. When they get 80s and 90s, they'll bolt. So I don't want these to get too hot because they will bolt. So this plastic is not going to be on there for a very long time, maybe 2 to 3 weeks, maybe. I've actually never used plastic before, but we're going to try it. So my thought was I might come during the day and literally do exactly this. This was a mistake, but this is what I was thinking. Open it up so that it's still getting the sun hitting it and warming it up, but we're not getting it too hot in here. It has a really nice, it's just not gonna get too hot in there. So I don't know if that would actually give the benefits of having the plastic on or not, but that's my thought. And then they're easier to close up at night. So that's what I'm gonna do during the day. And too, I could do it just like this, where I just leave the bottom open. I thought of that too. So whatever you really want to do. Do I honestly think I need that plastic? No. But I don't think it'll hurt anything. However, when it's windy, I will probably lose it. So I will need to come, just be mindful about it when it's real windy. And make sure it is secured. But I don't think it'll hurt. No. I'm tired. I have not done any work to actually be tired. And tomorrow I have a whole list of things that I want to do tomorrow. So I need to start getting back in shape. Thank you guys for joining me on this video, and I will see you guys on the next one. Bye, friends.